know what that theme is not, ladies and gentlemen? Not the way you would bring in a king, an autocrat. There's a lot of trumpets and a lot of play and a lot of, pomp and circumstance. And that's exactly what the Democrats want you to believe is that Donald Trump is the king and that everywhere he goes, we hear trumpets. The, the red carpet treatment, the crown that Nancy Pelosi broke over the weekend. The Democrats are trying to get you to believe that this no kings movement is real. The Democrats are trying to get you to believe that Donald Trump is a king because what else can they say? Can you name since November of 2024 one single policy that the Democrats have brought forward that says, hey, we're smarter, we're better than the Republicans? Nope. The only thing that they could do is offend. And what they do is they use their frontal, those beautiful candidates, those beautiful politicians, AOC, Jasmine Crockett, Cory Bush, and even crazy Bernie Sanders, as that just to show you that they are not real. They have no substance. What they have? Schoolyard antics. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Rant Network for yet another week. My name is David Solomon. He's Stuart Brisgell. This unedited, uncensored, unfiltered, and totally unapologetic rant is all about the craziness that we deal with every single day, from politics to, the stuff of modern life. We go into these corners that a lot of people won't go into, but we have for the last 5 years. So sit back and enjoy today as Stuart and I once again reveal the fallacy that is the Democrats along with the left. Stuart, over the weekend, MSNBC got caught with their hand, showing a clip of like millions of people in Boston, and it turned out to be a 10-year-old clip. And they were trying to promote how great this No Kings movement was. But Stuart, this No Kings movement is nothing but air. And, the people who put it together, the people who are part of it, are full of something else. Stuart, I know how much you love those two, AOC and Jasmine Crockett, but are they really politicians or are they just actresses?
Ooh, I like that. It's a Disney casting call. It's a Disney casting call. I mean, that's it. That's all you got to do. Guys, you might have remembered 1959 Thriller by Richard Condon, the Manchurian Candidate. Well, and if you're not that old, because I'm not that old, you'll remember the 2004 remake by John Demme, which starred Denzel Washington and Meryl Streep. I gotta tell you, I feel like I'm in the Groundhog Day movie, David. I'm like kicking my feet under my desk going, oh, this is so meaty. It's so juicy. And the way we always pick on AOC? Well, a tipping point in 2016, she participated in a Standing Rock Indian reservation where she was recruited or auditioning like a Disney film for a wonderful organization. And I gotta tell you that there is a video circulating. David, if you don't mind dropping that in the chat, I would love to let people see this video. I think it's hilarious, it's amusing, and it adds a depth into this. AOC, Jasmine Crockett, both part of the Democrat Socialist Party, a party that needs to go to casting calls versus finding people that truly believe in something. Politics was supposed to be, in my opinion, someone who's already given themselves in a career, has a family, wants to give back to society, has a calling to do for others and not for themselves, which is against every single thing that the Democrat Party today has been representing. Whether it's Chuck Schumer with his 51st year in politics, politics wasn't a career. Politics was a calling to help and grow and then continue on with your career. But when he got into office in 1975, the money was too good. Nancy Pelosi, who's also not far off, I think she's 48 years in politics. We'll call it geriatrics, not politics. These people are from the old guard of the DNC who recognize that the people being selected today are people being screened for likability, TikToks, being able to mold and follow a message. If you look at the earlier videos of Jasmine Crockett, she sounded like a little angel. She spoke politely, politically correct, like a seasoned attorney. So you got to ask yourself, where did the casting call in the potty mouth come from and why? Is it a way to enrich society? Is she giving back to her jurisdiction in any capacity? Have either one of these women brought a motion that betters the American people, David? Has either one of them done a single thing, commented about anything other than, I hate Donald Trump, I hate Republicans, I hate Christians, I'm anti Israel, I'm pro woke, I'm pro illegal immigrant, I'm pro no bond, or sorry, I'm pro bond, no bond, I'm pro everything under the sun that goes against every facet of American or even Western way of life. There's no other way to describe it. These people are paid actors and actresses that literally cannot come up with a single thing on their own. They are being run like puppets, Manchurian candidates. And this is where we are. Barack Obama, who, at least had some, not much experience in Chicago. Do I like Barack Obama? No, the guy's a shady sucker. Him and Michael are shady as hell. But the bottom line is he had something to offer. He presented himself and holds himself well, which is why today he is the only face of the DNC who's an anti-Semite, pro-Hamas, pro-Iran, anti-Western, and an apologetist who goes around the country kissing the ring. Let me take this conversation to another end, because we're talking about the No Kings rally. The No Kings rally had to do on July 4th, where we got rid of a king. That's the America's birthday. The DNC has no originality that they have to spin up the same thing on another day of the week called like October 18th. Why? Because they have no ideas. No Kings is July 4th. Okay. Does Donald Trump act like a king? Guy works like a dog. He works more hours than Joe Biden slept. I mean, that's kind of hard to believe, because Joe Biden, needed his nap about 22 hours a day. Nancy Pelosi can only give him so many narcotics to keep his eyes open during his 4 years. I mean, look, guys, politics has gone sideways, and you and I are responsible for it. And you and I are the only ones that are going to resolve it. What's going on in New York? You got a mayor, a candidate who seems to be knighted by the bombing of the World Trade Center organizer. If I was asked in 1988, when I graduated high school, what the world would be like in 2025, my God. When I graduated high school, I think I wrote in my verbiage, and someone can call me out, want to be a lawyer, probable destination, Mexican jail. I gave a quote from a band called U2. Things were just glee in 1988. Today's 2025. And I'm looking at a picture of Jasmine Crockett, AOC, Talib, Omar, and all I am doing is being disgusted. Where is civility in this country, David? There is none. Where is normalcy? It just doesn't exist anymore. David, I mean, I can go on and on, because the next thing I want to talk about is the Palestinians and how they
look. Okay. All right. You're really. I'm gonna give you 45 minutes to rant on your own today. But like you're just in a pissy mood today. But look, let's just focus in on the No Kings. What happened on the weekend? I mean, are you bloody kidding me? Like, what did you exactly think you're gonna? And I started with in my intro with schoolyard antics. When we were little children, you used to say, it's not nice to call people names. It's really not nice to call people names. But yet, terms like Hitler and autocrat and king and all that stuff, Nazi, fascist, whatever. I was having to explain it over the weekend to a young teenager who says, "Why do they keep calling you a fascist? Do they not know what a fascist is?" And I went, "No." Because really, if they understood, and and as Holocaust survivors and World War II veterans would tell you, Stuart, that these names that they're trying to hook onto Donald Trump makes no sense. The amazing thing is that the more he accomplishes, the louder they're getting with the noise. Think about it. He just like last week, the disgust that came out of the Democrats' mouth, it was like, yeah, okay, he may have solved the Middle East problem. To Mamdani and Bernie Sanders both going, no, 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 no. There's no resolution in the Middle East. Donald Trump can't do it. Like there's nothing there. And over the weekend, what did you get in your speeches? Think about what you got in the speeches. Donald Trump's a bad man. Donald Trump's a bad man. Donald Trump's a bad man. He's a king and he's not going to take away our streets. And you got guys like Pritzker in Illinois. Instead of focusing on fixing Chicago, he's saying to Donald Trump, no, you're a meanie bad man. In Portland, Oregon, when they need to fix this problem, Seattle, Washington, all these cities that people are fighting against ICE, and you're calling them sanctuary cities, and you're doing all these things that people are saying, stop. All you care about is how do we get at Donald Trump?
Yeah, David.
Defy authority. Like, this is what they're doing. And every message over the weekend on this No Kings thing was about defying Donald Trump. Defying the president is treason. That's treason. Now, the funny thing, Stuart, is that when Trump tries to do something and the court said no, he doesn't go, oh no, I'm above the court. He follows the legal system to get the legal precedent. Oh, what would a king do? A king would just automatically execute something. I don't see stormtroopers in the streets like they call them. I don't see this Darth Vader-like mindset, Star Wars comments, like all this stuff that the Democrats try to play is disgusting. Now, you brought up the Palestinians, and I'm going to tell you something that was really sad. Because what the Democrats really are now about is the party of hate. They hate men, as AOC said earlier this week. They love terrorists, as you've got there, the Imam. Now, Mamdani will say that Adams and others have met with him. Yeah, I got it, but they got ripped as well. So you're not such a special guy, Mamdani. But what makes me ill is that you think that supporting terrorists are good. You've clearly said you will arrest Netanyahu. You've clearly said everything that you've done, said against Israel. You want to globalize the Intifada, and you have no problem. But Stuart, here's the crazy thing. These George Soros paid supporters that were anti-Israel, pro-Hamas protesters all over North America, and were all over these No Kings parades. Where were you this past week? Let's think about where were you this past week when Hamas was assassinating people in the streets? Yeah. Oh, what did you do? You bring a Mendim Hassan onto your stage in your No Kings rally to accuse Israel of genocide and killing Gazans. Not one word against Hamas. Ladies and gentlemen, your AOCs, your Jasmine Crockett's, and the like, this is what they support. People, this is what they support.
David.
Narrative, Stuart. Just give me 3 seconds here, Stuart. False narratives to make you believe that they are the elite, that they know better. In reality, what they've done is they've offended men. AOC offended every man who supports the Republican Party is an insecure male. She said this on CNN. You offended men for a decade, and now you are saying, wow, anybody who supports Republicans an insecure male? This, ladies and gentlemen, is your Democrat Party. This is what they represent. Socialists and people who hate your guts.
David, I want to also say this as paid actors and actresses. please do me a favor. I would like you to share that
Back in
link again.
2016,
I did,
we
but
put
I
out a call for nominations, trying to capture the
Turn it off.
diversity of
Turn it
background and
off. Turn it
experience
off.
of the American electorate, the people that aren't currently represented in office. We got over 10,000 nominations. Out of those 10,000 nominations,
David,
Stuart,
I wanted
we
to
don't,
put that
we don't
on.
see you anymore on
I
camera.
wanted to put that on because I wanted to show that video. I wanted to show it, David. I really
So
wanted to put it.
here's the link. Here's the link. Go watch this video so you see that AOC is
I
part
want
of
to promote this. I want this to go viral, David.
So go
I
for
want
it.
to push this
So
out
put it
there.
out there in the
I
channel.
want every single person and challenge them to click on this and tell me the DNC isn't Disney Channel.
Stuart, let me wrap it up with 2 things, 2 points to this end, okay? You had 2 books just put out by Democrats. You have Kamala Harris on this side, who's whining that no one supported her, but she was the best candidate out there, right? She was the best candidate ever to run for the Democratic Party. That's your elitist. And then on this side, you have Karine Jean-Pierre, who just put out a book herself, who talked about the putsch that was led by Nancy Pelosi to coronate Kamala Harris to be the next candidate, to push Biden out. It was a putsch. It was a treasonous move. And yet it's interesting who they call a king. Stuart, last word to you, my friend.
Last word is watch that damn video, man. It is absolutely mind-boggling, and the truth will be out there.
It is not mind-boggling when you think that the DNC is just a freaking Disney show. Ladies and gentlemen, on that end, it's actually more of a horror movie than anything else. Guys, take care. Have yourself a great week. We'll see you on Hump Day.